Here's a place where all of us can be safe. Our stories of transformation can be safe, and all the things we want to research are safe here. This is Safe Space with Cheyenne. I'm really excited you're here, and I hope you stick around for a while, because I've got a lot to show you before I leave Earth. I love you guys. Today is a very special day. We are actually broadcasting from Leaf and Stone Apothecary. It's located at 815 West 11th Street in Wichita, Kansas. If you're from Wichita, you'll know that that is the heart of Riverside, one of the most beautiful, energetic spaces in Wichita, and these guys have been able to not only make a safe community for all of us, but there's just such an energy here, and I just think it's perfect to have this apothecary located here. Today, Jeff and James are going to come on and talk about their passions in herbalism, their passion for the community, and really just educate us all on really taking our herbal power back, our health power back. And in case you didn't know, they're also one of the sponsors of the show. So please go over to their website, check them out, because they sponsor the show because I have been using their products even before I developed a personal relationship with them. So I can't say I've tried all the products, but my goal is to try all of their products and turn all of my cabinet space into all of their stuff. So they're going to be previewing a few things for us today. And if you want to see what we're talking about, head on over to the Facebook page, their website, and the TikTok, and we'll get everything loaded. But right now we're going to introduce you to Jeff and James, and thank you guys so much for having us do it in the store today.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
Thank you. We're excited to have you.
Yes, I am excited to be here. I'm a big freaking fan of both of you personally, but everything that you're doing, it's just amazing. You've revolutionized what I've been doing for my own self-care, and every time I feel like I jump to another level of my self-care, I'll come in and I'll be like, all right, what are you guys doing now? What are you making? And you're so educational on it. I was just telling the story the first time I went to one of the local farmers markets, and Jeff was the one at the booth, and I picked up a magnesium spray, and instead of him just like doing the transaction, he was like, okay, do you know what this is for and how to use it? And he gave me like tips and tricks, and that's just next level customer service to me. It made me want to come back to them, not only for their knowledge, but just to expand more on what they have in the stores. So I'm really curious on like where this passion truly began.
Well, for me, it was when my grandmother got me one of those herbal, if you remember Reader's Digest books, which is kind of aging me a little bit, but it was from my grandma, if that counts. She got me one on the front, and there was this person in a meditation pose or a yoga pose, and it was natural healing or healing ways or something like that. And there was many different healing techniques, Reiki or energy healing, reflexology, radiology, just like an herbology was in there. And that's what really got me, because I loved plants. I could just grow anything when I was a kid. And and so I got into it really good. I packed her some cayenne pepper pills because she had water retention, and it mentioned that it helped get rid of water. Not what I would choose now, with a little bit more education under my belt, but I felt like I wanted to help or heal. And I veered off into using herbs in many different ways. I got a culinary degree, and then when I got with my partner, Jeff, I don't know, I just had some inspiration with a business. It just had dreams. And we were making our own kombucha at the time. And I was doing this chaga extract that was just for us. And then I was like, hey, why don't we start trying to sell it? And it worked. Like, people were buying it, and people were noticing improvement in their lives and their mental status and everything. And we were having a great time doing the kombucha and the brews and everything.
Making a lot of love into it.
Oh man, we would even what would we put on the jars?
We wrote affirmations
on the jars. We told the kombucha, we would put on it, I love you, and health and wellness and all that kind of stuff. And all those
Which, the jars that you sell today, they have affirmations on them too.
Yes.
So when I'm standing in my mirror putting on my toner or my radiant rose water and glycerin spray that I'm absolutely obsessed with, there's an affirmation on it that says, I retain that which I desire. And I'll just be like, Guys, thank you so much for like picking my affirmation out for me. I cycle through so many of them, but it's always nice to learn and keep going. So for beginners, can you pull apart what that first product actually is? Don't give away your recipe by any means, but what is it actually going to do for the vitality?
The first product, the mushroom blend, that is really amazing. Chaga alone is really beneficial for the mind. It's full of melanin, boosts the immune system. It attaches to receptors. I forget what the name is called, but for example, like if you were hit with a whole bunch of radiation from whatever source, there's only 2 types of radiation, and it has one of them. So if your body is saturated with chaga, then that means that radiation can't actually attach to your cells. And that works with EMFs and a whole bunch of other electromagnetic waves and just a whole bunch of things that actually affect us on a cellular level that we don't even see. It's an amazing thing. And I just really got into that because of immune disorders and things like that. It really piqued my interest. And so it is an amazing substance, and that just the amount of information behind it when I started is amazing. I don't mean to be a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to gear towards. But what I found on the internet when I started my herbal adventure is not what I can find on the internet now. I find that very interesting. But
James came into my life at a time when people were waking up and becoming more aware of the toxicity of chemicals that we're exposed to. That whether or not you believe in, say, chemtrails, for example, you're very aware that there's so much pollution going on, and that goes directly into our bodies.
I mean, whether we even breathe in or just what's absorbed into our skin from just walking around all day.
Yes.
If we could actually see all the stuff that was around us, we'd all just be screaming our heads off all day, like, oh my God, what is that? What is that? Yeah.
And just so in the beginning there was this desire for both of us. He had the herbal background, I had the deep desire to change, to completely transform my life and get rid of all the chemicals. Reading my toothpaste and seeing where it says if a small amount is swallowed, call a poison control center, and just really kind of waking up to that.
it was just a little bit before we started the herbal business, not the herbal adventure. We like stripped our house of all the non-organic ingredients and totally changed our life. I had some health stuff going on, and Jeff was feeling fatigued and a little tired, and we just had to make a change. And as soon as we did, it all got better. So
like that. In a matter of a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Our life changed completely, and just with that such a dramatic impact, it's easy to keep going. Once you notice these, it's like, oh, I should keep doing this.
It becomes your truth. And
Well, there's even a great way. I definitely don't have like that exact same story, but I remember just like slowly, like Rome wasn't built in a day. So you do have to, like, for my cabinet, I switched a couple things over at a time. I wasn't able to go like drop thousands of dollars on clearing out my whole cabinet in the same day. And I think a lot of people do that, especially when they start with that coin term awakening process. But even like the toothpaste thing is a great idea. Looking at the back of your toothpaste, looking at your cleaning products. I mean, let's not even get started on the food, but the water. And I've gotten to the point now, I actually just came across a new spring water. I can't think of what the name is. Maybe it's like Mountain Valley or something, but they sell it in a green glass jar. I happened to do an energy session at my friend's house, and he was like, here, try this water. And I used to drink spring water all the time when I was a kid. I would not do any of the purified, like none of those big companies. And everyone would make fun of me. I'm like, I would much rather go to the creek in my backyard and stick a straw in that in the stream than I would drink that. I'm like, it tastes like chemicals to me. And I'd be a kid, and then be like, all water tastes the same. And I'm like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And just within the past like month or so of finding this, I still drink filtered water in a little whatever pitcher in my house. And I drank that, and then I drank the spring water, and I could feel how alive that water was compared to even the filtered water that I had been filtering out through my tap.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, so I actually think I'm doing good with this pitcher, but it's still not filtering enough.
Yeah.
And I wish that I knew the scientists, but you can do your own research on like water is living versus like dead water.
Yep.
And that's, I mean, I'm probably like 4 years into like still transitioning everything over in my life and figuring out what works for me and what doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And the water thing is super new to me. And
Yeah.
I was just like, I guess I've always known it, but it really was like a nice remembering of being like, do you remember when you knew as a child to only want spring water? Like your taste buds were telling you, this is vital, this is what works for you.
Yep.
You don't like the taste of this because you understood there were chemicals in it. So it's kind of funny how like the conditioning of the world makes you think like, one, I think it's weird that if your water is in a plastic bottle, like that, whether it's BPA free or blah, 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 like there's something in there that's going to go in your body that's not good for you,
100%.
especially the longer that it sits in there. So like, even finding products that go back into glass is really cool for me. But that's one of my new things too.
You can see this at home today. You can go to Dillon's, because we've been to Dillon's a couple times and got like a gallon of water, because where we get our filtered water was closed, and so we're like, we need water. And I wasn't going to use tap water, but if you get the regular Dillon's brand, go home and make coffee with that, and you're going to see this like oily rainbow stuff on the top of your coffee that you just made, and it's separated from the rest of it. It's so, and you taste it. It's just like, what is this stuff?
Well, you can even you don't even have to go to Dillon's, right? Like for those people that are like, oh, tap water's fine, like just go ahead right now, while you're listening to this episode, turn your stove on and boil your water down. You can either boil it all the way down to the separation period or to where all of the water evaporates, and you're going to see all of the metals that you're technically ingesting.
Yeah.
And those are not only suppressing your immune system and everything in your body, but those are suppressing your energy centers, your connection to your divinity, so to speak, if that's what you want to call it. I grew up on like boil orders, right? In the small town we were in, like if a pipe cracked, they're just like, hey, you have to boil your water. Most people go to the store and get the big jugs. But I remember boiling the water, and my friend actually took a picture back home on one of them, and she was like, I'm never drinking tap water again. She's like, look what's in my water. And we could, again, go down a whole big rabbit hole about when's the last time the pipes were replaced. Doesn't even matter. But I definitely want to keep diving down into this herbalist story. There's so many people, I hate to use the phrase like saturated market because it just sounds like rude in my opinion, but all of these holistic movements, you really still have to do your own research is what I found, like going in, not just because they say like, oh hey, I'm an herbalist, like they know what they're talking about, like your body more than anybody else.
Yes.
So even if you go and you get something recommended to you, and just because it's organic or it's holistic or all of these big selling points in the new movement, like you really do have to understand that maybe just because like lavender works for me, it might not work for the next person down the road. It could actually activate something in their DNA that's not for you. So I really like how if somebody comes in and wants a product recommended to them, you're like, okay, like can I ask you a few questions first? Because I got to make sure, again, that nothing is going to happen to you, right?
Yes.
So where does that like care and concern obviously come from? You are two supremely compassionate people anyways, but how are you able to cater through your knowledge to all the individuals that come in seeking information?
Well, it's I worked in a clinic, and so people would be coming in with random questions, and a lot of training was involved with the clinic that I worked in, and so dealing with like, what is it called? Just like one question after another, and having to bounce around is kind of, I understand that. But being able to do it here in Wichita and help people, I think, my partner helps me out a lot since our brick and mortar has been open. Jeff's been handling 50% of all the questions. His confidence has grown in the last 4 years massively. But before that, it's the education, being able to see people's hair, their skin, their eyes, what kind of energy they're creating. I've seen people come in, and that one lady that came in a long time ago got some golden milk, and she just really looked, I'm going to use the word haggard. I know that sounds rough, like a rough word.
For lack of a better term, but yeah, just kind
really
of like sucked dry in a way.
Oh man,
like,
just energy drained, not in a good space. The conversation wasn't exactly happy. We gave her some products. She came in again later to get some more stuff, and just her dressed completely nice, sharp hair, like she got herself dolled up, and she just sounded so confident. She had got sleep, and just those kind of things are what keeps us going. The success stories, and you know, as an herbalist, I feel like we all run into our little things. We have a passion. It gets us into the field. We then hyper focus on something, and then we create something from what we get educated with. And I feel like I did that. It helped other people. It ended up being something that helped others. And I don't know,
You're just naturally talented at reading people, really.
Yeah.
And we of course, everybody that walks through the door, you know, we believe that we're just kind of the middleman between the natural medicine and that person. You know, most people come to us, they have an idea of what they're looking for. We always, of course, ask the hard questions like, do you have allergies specifically? Do you run more hot, more cold?
Contraindications. I mean, if somebody comes in with something, I have general blends, and I make that because it helps in general. I mean, and somebody can have allergies. There's an ingredient list there. If somebody needs something more specific, there needs to be more questions. Clinical herbalism is a very invasive, informative process. And I have to ask so many things. And if somebody wants a lot of help, it requires a form. And it's not just, I've helped a lot of people with clinically, so I know what questions to ask. I know how to lead something to a place to where I'm going to get my answers. But if you're getting into it, I'd stick with a structure. Do a good class or something like that. Like, get your structure down so you know what you're looking for and all that. But for us, I've just been doing this for so many years, and Jeff just absorbs it so well. He pays attention to what I'm saying and handling the situation.
Oh, you guys are definitely a power couple for sure. And like, you'll come in and you're like, hey, I'm making this today. Like, you have your own work area back here. Like, all the magic really is made in here. I know when I met you, you guys were talking about getting a brick and mortar set up, and I was like, yeah, let me know. You know, and I was one of those people that every time I saw you, I'm like, hey, so where are we at with that location where I can come see you whenever I want? And you're like, it's coming, it's coming, it's happening, it's coming.
And it happens so quickly too.
Yeah.
That's the thing with James and I, when we put our minds to something, we just, you know, we hyper focus on it and just make it a reality.
I mean, you guys are the whole package though. I mean, not only from, well, like the building that we're standing in now, like all the shelving Jeff made. And it, like when I came in the first time, I was under the impression that all of this was already here. And I was like, wow, you guys really lucked out. Like, all of your whole store already looked like an apothecary. And he's like, oh no, I built all that. And I was like, oh God, you're amazing. You know, and then coming in and the signs on all of their jars, which again, you'll be able to see all this on TikTok, the signs on all of their jars they make, their labels, the stamps on the bags. At one point, or you still kind of mix that up? I know
we do a little stamping
it's
still.
It's supremely time consuming. I can say that from being a small business owner myself. There are a couple of things that are more beneficial for your time to outsource, but
every package that the customer picks up has a little bit of something.
Oh no, we still design the labels and print them ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we don't purchase them from somebody else. Then we do that because our labels, we want them to be eco-friendly. They're compostable and plant-based material, and that's because
we do stamp though. We use non-toxic ink. And
and that's all of like this reclaimed wood that he did in the Apothecary, and all of the labels that we make and everything. It's because we want our business to be a full circle, energetic finishing to what the planet has to offer us. I mean, all this wood was donated by a local farm, and Jeff took it and turned it into something that is beautiful and handmade. And then we just take what is plant-based, use it, and then it goes back to the earth once you're done consuming your tea or your herbal blend. And I consider that full circle. Because if you had this plastic bit, I mean, you're a conscious individual. You go get your tea that's in a plastic bag, and you're done using this amazing medicinal tea, okay? But then that one little karmic, small little thought in the back of your head as you're throwing that plastic bit away of like, oh, this isn't really good for the earth. But, you know, whatever. But I consider that as now not being a full circle. It's broken the circle of the healing process. And it needs to be good for the planet just as much as it's good for us.
Which I feel like, sorry to cut you off, but I feel like that's a really good segue to how you guys made your logo.
Yes.
Yes, because it really does say it like symbolically on the front of it. Like we we work with Mother Earth when we get a little clogged or overworked. Like we know, hey, we just need to go take a camping trip. We really need to go ground ourselves, take some time off.
Yep.
And I know before we started, we were talking about running your own business being every hat in your business. It doesn't leave you a lot of time to have those moments because you're, building a business is hard, especially a brick and mortar. Like you have to be available and consistent. You guys not only have your apothecary set up, but you're out vending at all of the local markets. I know I was fortunate enough to be booth buddies with you one time, and it's always so great to see you interact with other people, but I'm always waiting for you guys to not talk to people so I can come over and talk to you. So you guys, not only is the information great, but your energy alone is great. Like it's a great aura to walk into. I'm a big believer in your energy introduces you before you open your mouth. And I know when you're a consumer just kind of walking around where you want to go, my energy will just pull me to go see stuff in other booths. And I mean, again, at this point, it's probably biased just because I've been around your products enough that I'm like, okay, going to get my stuff from the boys and then I'll go see everybody else. But I don't know if you guys know that, but you're very welcoming in whatever you do. Just like you said, when people come into your store, your customer service is on point, whether you know the person or whether it's their first time in here. And you're able to not act like that commission person at an old buckle store that's like, hi, I'm gonna follow you around if you need anything. You're just like, hey, can I help you with anything? Why are we here today? And you're right, it's absolutely full
And there's
circle.
usually something to sip on when you're there, usually.
Yeah, which we are sipping on some tea. Do you want to tell us about the tea that you made us today for our episode?
Apple honeybush. Apple honeybush is amazing. So all our herbs are 100% organic. And apple honeybush is our spin on us trying to use natural flavorings. I'm using air quotes because that's what people like to say. Mm-hmm. But we actually take the apples in this brew, we cut them up ourselves, we dehydrate them, and then when we rehydrate them in lemon juice and lemon zest and dehydrate them a second time, so that when you make this, you get that awesome blast of actual natural flavorings. And so this one is caffeine free, really good, full of antioxidants, and super delicious. It's like apple cider in a tea.
It just has a good holiday flavor to it, too. It's great this time of year.
Yeah, so one of my favorite things I love about being a part of your guys' fan club on social media is you teach us through your social media pages. It's not just about hey, this product's for sale, this product's for sale. It's did you know, did you know, did you know? And you get to, even in the comfort of my own home, I'm able to learn all of these fascinating things that could honestly take me so many hours Googling, right? But instead you have such a great consolidated catalog of herbalism and community outreach and hey, this is what we're doing now, find us here, find us here.
Yep.
I know that's one of your biggest passions besides not only making the products, but just going out and really inspiring and planting those seeds to people.
Well, it's health solidarity, like what we were talking about earlier, is just giving people the power and the tools to be able to handle their own situations. I mean, you know about Golden Milk, you read about Golden Milk, you've heard a couple things about Golden Milk, but did you know all the other things Golden Milk can do? Did you know when you should be doing it and how to optimize how Golden Milk interacts with your digestive system and your immune system and everything like that? I would like to teach you that. If you're going to buy our Golden Milk or our Remedy or our magnesium spray or Action and Rebound, there's a whole bunch of ways to use that tool. These are just tools. And we'd like that to be, if you have 5 things wrong with you and you can take care of 3 of them with the proper education and the proper tools, imagine how much stress is now taken out of your entire life. And those other 2 things, you might have to go see a doctor. Maybe you might. I don't know. But that's 3 things that you've actually set down and confidently said, I got this. Mm-hmm. No worries. So, and that's what we want to
I think
offer.
it'll also change that mindset that a lot of us had. I know when I grew up, you're if you're sick, you go to the doctor. If you're sick, you go to the doctor. And at one point in my early 20s, I actually did go to a holistic doctor for something that had been messing with me for, oh my gosh, so many years in my early 20s. I know most women that I've talked to, they've always had something come up with their ovaries in their younger years. I don't know if it's just part of the feminine collective or what, but I had been in and out of Western medicine and testing and all of these just back and forth things where when I left the doctor, I just felt I felt worse. I didn't feel educated. I felt like my time was cut short. I didn't even know what questions to ask.
Yep.
Googling and going on the internet like still wasn't really like a big thing. I think like WebMD was the biggest thing, but they'll just tell you kind of have cancer no matter what you look at. And then finally my stepmom was like, I have a holistic doctor I've been going to. Why don't I just, get you in? Because it was a referral-based program at the time. And I worked with that doctor for 2 weeks, and I got more information in that 2 weeks about my body, the minerals that I wasn't getting, like the help that I really wanted. I wanted to be empowered when I left the doctor, and I wanted to feel like I wasn't a number, I wasn't a part of a system, or that I was screwed and there was nothing that I can do. Yeah. And there were so many times in my life based on just that ovarian issue at that time where if I still believed Western medicine to this day, I would actually believe that I couldn't conceive a child based on what their stories had told me. Luckily, I had started my holistic journey way before that. I still subconsciously believed that I was going to have problems with it. Mm-hmm. The only thing that they really recommended to me in my early 20s was, well, it's not like a no, like these are all the reasons that you probably wouldn't be able to do it, but like there's so many more options. Like IVF is a really big thing, and I was like, I've seen people go through those journeys, and God bless all of them. I had 2 really close friends that went through it, and I had decided early on, even when I got with my husband, I'm like, I will not be going down that road. Like if it's supposed to happen, it's supposed to happen. And I was at one of the healthiest, like yoga, exercise, clean eating, using your guys' products, getting all the other things that I was doing, and I found out I was pregnant right after my honeymoon, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And I still to this day believe that it was a part of me taking that power back consciously and doing these steps forward. And I wasn't sitting there like, I want to have a baby, because like law of attraction just kind of pushes it away, in my opinion. But I was just like, if it's supposed to happen, like it's out there, so.
And you're taking steps of doing for yourself to make yourself stronger, so that potentiality has an optimum chance of happening. I mean, the law of attraction does require a little bit of action too. Mm-hmm. And then there's the manifestation aspect of it, of saying, this does exist in my life, or I am creating space for this to exist in my life. But then there's also, that your body needs to be strong for this process, and so you do for yourself to make it happen. And that's a big thing a lot of people don't realize with the herbal stuff, like the dedication to it and sticking with it. And it is a tool. It doesn't happen as quick as Western medications do, our allopathic medications do, but there's a space for it, and calming down. We're all too busy. Are things happening in our body?
Sometimes though, it
tell
can
us we need to
work
stop
quicker. My experience, I lived in San Francisco in 2005, and I had a severe bloating problem. And rather than going to a doctor, I happened to just stumble into an acupuncturist, and she subscribed me to go down to the little shop down the street and get some bitters. And I took that, and almost instantly it was gone. And from that point on, just taking it daily, I no longer had bloating. And
that's a really big one. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So just a couple examples. I wrote down some things that I struggled with in my younger years, again, that I was able to, again, take my power back. Because like what you're just describing is really outsourcing your health to a bigger entity, like unconsciously, right? Like it's just like, hey, go get this and take this. Don't do any research in it, right?
This
like
is soul
just take
contracts.
This, it'll be fine.
And we got trained to trust this entity. As we grow up, we were trained. I mean, I went to the pharma doctors.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I did the same thing when I was young. My grandmother had problems. She went to see the doctor. I mean, medications were a regular thing. Pills were early. Pills were just a thing. I was totally okay with.
Go to the doctor, grab a pill, you'll be fine.
Yeah. And to make that decision and switch over is hard. And if you're on insurance, and you in your perspective, all of your medical care needs to be funneled through an external source to come back to you to even tell you that you can go to somebody and get the information from a doctor. There's so many hoops to jump through alone, and you're trying to battle that. You win, and then you don't have enough money to go see an herbalist, or you don't have a naturopath or anything like that. And that's why I give out a lot of information so much at the farmers markets, and I have the conversations with people. And it's all the potentiality, and you just need to plant the seeds of health solidarity. Like, what if you did this, this, and this instead of that? And they might say, I'm not ready for that yet. And that's fine. One day they might be. may not be with me, you know.
But you plant that seed,
Plant
right?
that seed, yeah.
I believe that there's a little bit of almost like a spiritual transformation that has to happen with people before they can actually take that route. You know, there has to be a severing of the old and then a welcoming of the new.
Yep. And there's nothing wrong with it. With allopathic healthcare, I think of, you know, cancer treatments, if something does need to be removed, if that's the choice that that individual makes, then okay. It's all about choice. And as an herbalist, from my perspective, I do not hinder somebody else's choice whatsoever. I want to support them through whatever decision they make. And so if they want to go get radiation therapy, I try to give them herbs that make their healthy cells more stable so that they can make it through this process a little better. If they want to do this over here, surgery or whatever, anything that they want to do, I try to make it easier for them. I don't try to tell them, don't do that. Oh my gosh, what are you doing to yourself?
Yeah. That's definitely red flags for me too. I'm a really big to each their own, like again, research your own way. And I love that you bring that up because like we're not out here being like, throw your diabetic medication away, throw your insulin in the trash, you know? Like, no, we're not saying that. It's just like, really do your own research, see what works for you, get more information outside of the perspectives that you're used to getting. You know, open your mind a bit. Mother Earth was here first. That's the best thing that we can say. I know that there's so many products in the world, so many synthetics everywhere. Food that's meant to taste like food that doesn't break down in your body. You know, and we could go into gut health and inflammation, which is one that I know so many people suffer with, whether they're eating clean, eating not. Like, we don't even have to get into like where you're sourcing your food from, but inflammation is a super, super big thing that I feel impacts so many people,
well, our
myself
body
as well.
Dying, and our cells, as we age, they cause inflammation. And like, we could do all the best things, but we're gonna have inflammation in our body at some point in time, in one way or another.
But is there a way, like, if I'm a beginner, right, and I don't want to be like, I have chronic inflammation, but obviously I know that I could support myself better if I started slowly down this herbalist journey. Like, what if I came to you and said, oh, I just have like a lot of inflammation in my body? And like, would you talk to him about like, hey, do you eat like a shit ton of processed foods? Like, where are you kind of at, like, in your diet? I would
definitely ask them questions about their diet to start. What kind of, do they smoke? That's another thing. A lot, oxygenation of the body. I try to pay attention to like the face, skin things with the kidneys and things like that. Little little precursors, so I don't have to ask too many questions, you know. But I would definitely ask that, if they're getting enough sleep, what the stresses are in their life. I mean, it's a lot of questions because each individual is different. And inflammation, depending on where it comes from, would be how I would treat it. Inflammation from emotions, let's say you're stressing out a lot and you've got a lot of fire in your body and you're getting angry and things are just happening too much and there's just too much of everything and you're sick of it. You know, that's a fiery personality.
It's a lot of cortisol dumping into your system as well.
As well, yeah. And their anger and their fire and everything might be causing a lot of inflammation. And so I might try to attack their emotions with like some moon milk or something like that, just to bring it down a few notches. And then it's got the turmeric inside of it, which is also helping physically with the actual inflammation. Turmeric and black pepper and everything. You need the two of those together for that combination for turmeric to actually be optimum in your system. If it is actual like arthritic pain and different things like that, I might suggest some soaking baths, magnesium more into your system, like the oil that you've tried before, action and rebound.
I still use.
Yeah, exactly. And
it lasts for a long time. That's my favorite thing about it. I go through the Radiant and the Toner like crazy, but especially after I get out of the shower, I like that. I've added that little tingle to my self-care. But I've always known, especially as a woman, like magnesium is one of the things that us as feminines struggle with the most keeping in our body. And I've also found, especially in like PMS, like magnesium can actually help when your hormones just like start going crazy.
Well, and you're dumping minerals out of your system because you're trying to regrow your you're trying to regrow again and
that
everything.
stuff down there.
And so it's
ovulating.
It's after it. I read a meme the other day where it's like a period is where your uterus wants to get pregnant. You don't want to get pregnant, so your uterus gets mad, and then you have a period.
Well, it's just you're literally regrowing the skin, and you're letting go of the old, and you're creating new, and that just makes it a good safe space for pregnancy to happen. It's all a natural
100%.
thing, and you're right. You know, there is so many. I went through this women's health course, which is a whole funny story in itself. I had no idea what went on with women until I went to this, and I got to see everything. They showed me all the pictures of all the mucus and the redness and the surgeries and everything.
Which
and
again is like all
really
natural that people are not informed on. Even
oh my
women.
gosh, right? I mean, you don't realize you could have an over mucus problem, and you know, girls go through these things of like they're so self-conscious. There's already enough with advertisement in the world to make self-consciousness. Oh my gosh, and then you get these actual physical things. I had no idea, and I learned, and it's such a. I really feel, for one, guys should go through a women's health course. They should. They don't know crap, and they need to do it. And for two, like, just have some respect. Like, women go through way more than guys do. The guys' bodies just don't do what women's bodies do, and so I have a lot of respect.
We definitely have a lot more chemicals. That's what I tell my husband. I was like, you have 10 chemicals, I have 250. And I'm monitoring it all at the same time. Yeah, just the way that we're supposed to present ourselves.
Exactly.
I was telling my husband today before I left, I was like, I know you haven't showered left, but you're like the sexiest unwashed man I've ever seen. It's so weird because if I try to pull that off, I really kind of do like homely sometimes, and I'm like, okay, I need to go shower. But I have more stuff that has to be maintained. I have a lot more shedding. A lot of things come out of my pores that literally aren't even in his system. And of course there's like sometimes like a jealousy part of it, because I'm like...
It's funny, a friend of ours came to visit us about a year ago and stayed with us for a couple weeks, and just seeing the amount of products that she had in my bathroom, you know, just all the different things for her hair, her makeup, her skin, cleansing her makeup and all that stuff. And
but you're right,
so
I mean, you've got 30 days
Yeah.
to redo your whole system as a woman, and part of that is the PMSing, and then the rest of it is you're building your system back up to get right back to that same point again, and it's just, there's so much that a woman goes through. And you need to pay attention to your body. The one thing I learned in women's health course was like, know your cycles. Pay attention to what the moon cycle is. Like pick a focus point. Whatever it is, maybe it's your eating cycle that helps. Maybe it's your sleeping cycle. Maybe it's your work cycle. Maybe it's your exercise cycle. Maybe it's the moon cycle. Some cycle you have can really be a good thing for you just to be able to focus in on. The more you focus on your cycle, the easier it is, because you know when your progesterone is at its highest, you know when your estrogen is at its lowest, and you know when to take the minerals that you need to be able to get through it a lot easier. I pass out so much nettle here.
I was
we just dole it out.
We have a lot of products that are, you know, pre-made products and stuff, but we also sell a variety of just bulk organic herbs with themselves, and sometimes it's just a matter of taking a couple different herbs and steeping them, drinking them.
I give out nettle to women all the time because they come in here with problems with that. And nettle is just a great thing to take in general to help you through all the minerals and the nutrients, and what it does for the body is just excellent for women. And I teach them how to use it, and we give it out, because I mean, it doesn't cost that much for us, but I feel like an individual's learning process is more valuable than us making $2 on a little bit of herb.
And an interesting thing about being a human is that no matter what stage in life you're at, whether you're male or female, there's always a need almost for a different herb. Me, for example, I'm 50 plus now, so my body doesn't produce as much minerals.
You don't look it.
Thank you. My body doesn't produce as much minerals, so lately we've been talking about, you know, developing a tea for people 50 plus, you know, myself mainly. All of our products usually start with us, you know, our needs, and then it just kind of works out from there.
I always trust people that are the guinea pig of their own products.
Absolutely.
You know, you can definitely, like, you can see your guys' vitality through not only your process, your experience, but just every time I see you, like, you are continuing to learn. Like, you're not sitting on this weird pedestal of, oh, we know everything, like the learning is done. you're consistently not only auditing all the information that you knew before, but adding to it more and more.
Oh yeah.
All of the ideas that you have, whether it's for like seasonal work or, hey, we see that this is on the rise. Did you know that you can combat this? And it's very inspiring to know you personally, but just to meet people out there that are still doing their own work as they still continue to support the community.
Yep. And when I worked at the hospital, the biggest thing was continuing education. And so I would always go to the classes that all the doctors were going to, always, even if it was the same class every year. You still went to it just so that it was fresh in your brain and how to communicate and all that. And that carries over with my herbalism 100%. If I'm not doing an online class, I'm doing in-classes here in the shop, because me teaching and in a way regurgitating the information that I've already absorbed so that other people can absorb it teaches me at the same time. The me teaching solidifies my education, and it helps so much. And that's why I love teaching, because in a way it reverse helps me.
Well, it sounds like you're a really good student too. I think that shows a lot of value in being great teachers. You don't walk into someone's class going, oh, I already know what they're going to talk about, but I guess I'll just sit here. Like, you really have to go in with a beginner mindset, no matter what you know and what you've been through, if you really want to absorb somebody else's perspective. And again, like, my favorite part about taking multiple classes from people is, like, I'll go in with a beginner mindset. There are some things that they'll say that goes against what I think I already know. I'll write it down, I'll take it back home, and if it integrates and I need it, it's going to stay. And if it's not for me, it's okay to put that information down too.
If there was one way to do everything, then why would I need so many herbal books to teach me about so many things? Everybody's words that they've read and that they speak are their opinion. There are many ways to do something, to get to a point, herbs to do this and this and this to get to point Z, but they just have, in their experience, learned an XYZ way of doing it. I learned a ABC way of doing it. You might learn a DEF way of doing it. It's all different, but I love hearing I still read the books. It might just be an opinion, but I still read the books because I love hearing I go to the classes. You're right, I don't speak up just because the herbs that you chose might not have been what I chose to use for the situation, but why did you choose that? I want to understand your understanding of why you chose that. And I think that's what's so beautiful about the herbalist world, is that we teach each other different techniques and different ways and different understandings. And you just have to be open to it, instead of sitting there saying, well, I do it this way, and what you're doing is wrong. It's really not that. There's optimum ways of doing something, but give people space to learn.
Absolutely. There's definitely a lot of faults when you go in and learn stuff like, oh, this is for me, this isn't for me. And I have definitely run into people in the community that are like that. They're like, oh, no, you're not supposed to do it like that. I went and talked to yada, 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 and they have 5 million followers, so they know what they're talking about. You're kind of getting into that. Whether it's like a human ego or like a spiritual ego, an herbalist ego, like, the ego is good and the ego is bad. It's just all depending on how you use it. But those people that are humble enough to be like, the more I know nothing, those are the people that I really like to keep in my circle and team up with, because if you're growing and I'm growing, like, we get to share information. Each of us are like one of 8 billion perspectives, right? So it'd be silly for you to sit there and be like, okay, I'm done growing, I know all about herbs, come to me. Oh no, they don't know what they're talking about, and like start bad mouthing other people in the same circle. Because I just believe, I'm not into like pyramid people. We talked about that before, where they're like, oh, I'll work with you as long as like you stay in your place and kind of do your thing. But we are elevating people. We all rise together, so to speak. Which brings me into one of the, I love so many things about you, but you guys were able to bring this market to life. And this will air probably by the time it happens, or it doesn't, but I know it's a continuous thing you plan on building on. So I definitely want to get this message out for anybody in Wichita who hasn't come to the market, or people that really want to fly in from wherever you're at and really support the community and support moving that pride along the way. So do you guys want to tell us about ICT Big Gay Market?
So the Big Gay Market was just an observation. Being here for 4 years as a homosexual couple, we ran into some situations when we first got here that made us feel uncomfortable coming from San Diego. Where San Diego, we could hold hands, we could, cuddle with each other at meetings, or, be maybe a little bit more personable out in public, and it was totally okay. I wouldn't have ever thought about being weird about being in a relationship in San Diego, but here there was some things that did happen when we first got here that made us a little less comfortable. And so after the 4 years being here, things changed. Things got more comfortable. Questions weren't asked, awkward situations weren't happening, but something did happen that made me want to just kind of put my foot in the ground and say, like, we are a comfortable couple, and so homosexual couple here in Wichita, and so we created the Big Game Market. And it fills the gap of there's not much for the businesses. There's a lot of fun parties and volunteer opportunities and things to support the city in ways to help it grow, but there's not much focus on actual LGBTQIA-owned businesses here in Wichita. That's the gap that I saw needed filling. And so I created the ICT Big Gay Market as just basically a big gay farmers market where you come, there's no alcohol being served, there's nothing compromising your experience. It's just like you just went to a farmer's market, but it's all gay or allied individuals. And
me being one of them.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it has created so much.
Yeah, and really
beautiful.
just to highlight a lot of local gay-owned businesses,
Yeah.
businesses just getting started, existing, allies.
Yep.
Just really kind of getting out there and showing people, we did the first one in June, so it was Gay Pride Month,
Yep.
and, just our contribution of coming out. It was also our 12-year anniversary.
Yes.
Amazing in itself. But yeah.
And this year is going to be bigger. So last year we saw what the community needed. And this year we're going to be actually enacting those plans that we were discussing last year. So there's a lot of groups that meet, and I'd like to create a business networking group for the vendors that we have at the Big Gay Market. That way we have chances to grow together and just get these businesses up and running, create systems that actually focus on them and give them the capability of growth together and helping to share ideas and share opportunities and classroom situations is what that would be more like. A gathering of people coming together and sharing information is like a classroom situation, really. And you get so much enrichment from those situations, more than you would watching a video from an external source of some business guru in some other state somewhere online. So much more, and you're building networks and everything. And I want that to happen here. And I don't want it to be connected to like somebody's medical history or what they've gone through recently and trying to find what their sexual nature is and things like that. I want to pull away from that and just focus on businesses and what their passion is and whatever they have going on solely, and that's it. And so that's kind of why we created it.
I love the safe space that it provides for people to be themselves no matter what they identify as.
Yes.
Like, I don't identify as straight or gay or anything like that. I would just say, based off like soul talk, like it's just fluid. Like souls don't have a gender. I mean, obviously I'm married to a guy, but I always think that girls are really pretty, you know, and I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm gay, I'm bisexual, I'm this. But no matter what I would identify myself as in this format, like I was an allied vendor. They got to come in and not only set up my own little safe space, but you guys provided me that space to be able to be a part of that community. Yep. The street is blocked off, so we have, I mean, just vendors everywhere. There's rainbows. We have people dressing up. Yep. We have people coming out. And you even had like live music where they can dance on the
Couples
street, which is one of my favorite parts. Yes. I mean, and I liked being able to be themselves.
And I hate to be like heterosexual, homosexual. I hate to be that way, but in this conversation, it's relevant, I feel. So there's like straight couples coming out with their kids and just like loving it, and their kids are having it. They're getting their face painted, and they're just doing all these beautiful things. And then there's
very accepting, and the whole thing just felt very loving.
Gay couples bringing out their kids, you know, and. There was this one that my sister does the photography for it. She donates her business to be able to create memories for folks to be able to capture. And in that, we also give free photographs to the vendors of the Big Game Market, which she got a little held up on yours. They're coming in June.
It's okay. It's no big deal. I'm patient. I know.
But yeah, all that's coming in June. Actually, the end of June, we will be doing the first big game market planning and business networking meeting. This is really exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to be a part of all of it. And I love that it's like a continuous thing.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. And I really think that it's just going to get bigger and it's going to get better. And we're going to have people come in for this. You know?
Yeah, we hope that long after we're gone, that it's still here. It's still going in Wichita. It's just a cute little neighborhood, a little bubble to just go and be safe. And
well, at that time, I expect it to be called the Big Gay Symposium.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I've got growth ideas for sure. Yeah. But I want the community, when I first got here, the gay community just seemed to be like this undercurrent of everything was on the down low and you really didn't say much and you went to these specific places and the only advertisement I see on Facebook, which isn't anything wrong with it, I just think there needs to be other things, is the bars. That's really the only advertisement that you see on Facebook being spread around here. And I'm like, I'm fine with that, the time and a place, but what about the kids? And the families. I mean, some people don't want to go out and have drinking be part of their experience. They want a safe space. And so,
coming from California, we just saw, there's a lot of opportunities here. I was surprised 4 years ago when I moved here. I'm from California, so I'll walk down the street, I'll hold his hands, I'll kiss him in public. I'm not even remotely concerned about what people think. And I come here and I notice that, it's Kansas, so I might have to reel it in a little bit. Be a little bit careful, that guy next to me in his big old truck, and who knows what can happen, right?
Yeah, truly.
But that was within myself. Is really what my experience has been. Everybody I met through either doing markets, in my bubble, everybody that I came across was very loving, very accepting. Most of them have gay family members. But there's still the whole, let's keep it really kind of quiet, hush, hush. And then, big gay market is our contribution of saying no. Create a safe space.
This is who we are.
Be yourself.
Yep.
Whatever.
And it doesn't have to be partying. It doesn't have to be drinking. It doesn't have to be any compromised situations being put in front of you where you have to feel like you have to make a weird decision. It's just a comfortable space where you can be around other people. Like there's no complicated anything.
No shame. And it's time that the world really wakes up to that there's no shame in who you are. We're not bad people. We're not,
all of these other stereotypes that have been kind of like propaganda is the best way that I could say it.
And most generation from this point on is aware of that and moving towards
the
that.
Inclusivity and what's the word that they're all, I can't even think of it right now, but I like how you're like, even like straight couples bringing their kids out and just, hey, this is a part of it. This is everybody intermingling with their beliefs, their ways of life. Like there's nothing perverted about anything like this at all. That's definitely a propaganda. Like love is one of the biggest things that went around. And even if like corporate companies decided to take it over and do whatever they did with that, I still believe in that. I actually had a nanny that were I think the easiest way to say is they're lesbians because we won't get into like pronouns and stuff like that. But when right before the interview, I was like, oh, I'm so excited to meet you. And she's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I am gay. My wife's name is Sarah. And I just wanted to let you know that ahead of time because that's caused us issues. And I was fucking mortified that she had to go out of her way before a nanny interview with me to let me know. Like, she's like, I've actually showed up at interviews and people have not hired me because I was gay. She's like, when we were getting married, we had people that refused to take our photos and refused to make our wedding cake. And I was just like, I'm so sorry, I've never experienced that in my life, but I am mortified at all of those people. Like, tell me who those businesses are and I actually won't support them. Because if you don't like my friends, I'm not going to support you. So, and then like just learning through her experiences of being gay and all of the roadblocks that they came up through their whole relationship. I mean, I haven't experienced that as a straight woman. That is obviously accepted in the way that the Christianized patriarchal society is of like, this is love, this is love. So the big love is love movement, I mean, you guys play such a monumental part for Wichita, but you're just adding to the inclusivity and the collective as a whole. And that's why like I'm really excited to be a part of it. And it's great for me because I'm a tie-dye artist, so I'm like, I get to make rainbows for 2 frickin' weeks and I get to figure out like, do people want like pride stickers? Do they want bumper stickers? Like, what are all these little things that I can add to my booth to spread that message out as well?
Yeah.
Again, like being a big advocate.
And all this is, the messages are really important, but when it really does boil down to healing, because when you are feeling compromised in yourself and you don't know where you're going and you don't know who you are and you don't know what sexual preference you want to have, and you recognize as the problem, but you don't know where to go to take care of it, or you can't even express yourself properly. All of that hinders the capability to heal. Mental healing needs to happen heavily before a lot of physical healing can happen. And so I just want to create those spaces where that can be offered. Individuals who come here, maybe they need some herbs too. Or maybe they just need a place where they can sit down and hold hands and kiss. Or they can we had proposals happen at the big game market. We had people find each other that had lost friends for years. And it was weird how it just became a vortex of all of these coincidences at the same time as being what it was. But
just all-encompassing unconditional love.
Oh my gosh, I cried.
Didn't it feel like it just had a big bubble of just pink love?
Just pure love. I remember waking up that morning and being like, it's finally here, it's finally here, it's finally here. And then me and my friend Tegan, which Tegan, for the most part, you could say like she identifies gay, but she's definitely a big part of the lesbian community. And she's the one that I'll go to like soundboard stuff, like whether it's participating in the big gay market or going out into other markets, but even like seeing gay couples have their voice on like Netflix series and show, like we were watching, I can't remember what show, and I looked over at her and I paused it and I go, I have a question for you. I said, what does it feel like to see lesbians on a TV show and it not be like, oh my God. Like when Will and Grace came out and that was like the biggest format of gay TV that you could find. But I was like, what does that mean for you? And she paused and she was like, it feels really validating, because there's so many parts of everybody's story where they talk about like coming out of the closet, so to speak, or really struggling with their sexuality or why am I not like everybody else? She goes, but to see a piece of myself be reflected back to me and also just accepted, she's like, it just does wonderful things for the community and the people that are still struggling with wondering how to really accept themselves before they come out in the world. Yeah. She's like, so everything that's going around, every piece of it, she's like, as a gay woman, she's like, it can kind of choke me up at times because I just think it's so beautiful. And I do think that this is the world that we should live in, where we're allowed to love anybody we want and we shouldn't have to hide any part of ourselves, or like Jeff, you said, like there's no shame here.
Yeah, well, and we don't have to put it through a filter of like, I need to make a decision whether I'm going to drink or not when I get there, or am I going to be safe because people are going to be intoxicated, and there's none of that. There's so much
even
safe.
like arrive safe, get home safe. That's going to happen here.
Yeah, and I just want that so easy. It's just an easy thing, It's like I'm going to go out today and I'm going to be me in a nice little happy bubble, and just loving yourself in a way deeper than sensual pleasure, deeper than looking in the mirror and trying to tell yourself an affirmation, like secure confidence in waking up and being like, I'm happy in me. The good, the bad, the dark, the light, the shadow, the brightness, all of it. It exists and I am happy. And that's what I don't want to know your status. I don't want you to find out any sort of medical situation. I just want you to be you. In all of it. It's a beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah. So grab your rose quartz and your self-love and come on out to the next ICT Big Gay Market. So I do have a few other questions for you about all of these beautiful herbs behind us. Jeff, you were talking to me about like the energy in the plant alone, how it transfers, being the middleman for Mother Earth and the consumer. What would you like to elaborate on some of those jars for us, for the audience that's either super educated and I guess maybe just the beginning aspect of it?
Yeah, I guess just for me, I've been into natural healing my whole entire life. When I met James, that's when it really became a thing, because we became this entity, and then Leaf and Stone came from that, which is now a separate entity. It's like our baby. We're watching it like go in all these different directions. I've always felt a connection with nature, and for me, my journey has always been finding, the right herbs that work for me. Right now, my big thing is mushrooms. I love mushrooms. I love what they do for me. And that's as Leaf and Stone Apothecary, that's what we want to be here for the community, is to help people find a way to connect with nature, to work with nature, because it's there for us. There's so much medicine available to us. And so yeah, James does clinicals, and then we do try to take the time. A lot of people do come in and they want an instant, like, I've got this recurring problem, blah, 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 blah. Just give me something that's going to take it away. And we kind of slow down with them and remind them that it's a whole body thing. It's a whole well-being thing. So what is your diet? You know, it's the whole, earlier I mentioned that it ties in with spirituality, because I believe that there has to be that shift in a person to stop relying on other people and to start looking to source and asking for the healing to come from source. And when you work with nature, you can't work any more directly with source. You know, I mean, it's right there.
And I really want to touch on the subtle healing of herbs. That was something that I learned in class. Well, the first thing we learned was about the subtle energetic of herbs. And I forgot what he did. What was it? He put cayenne pepper in his mouth. And so when you put something into your mouth, for it to be assimilated into your system, into body, to actually make a physical reaction based off from the constituents in the herb, takes a minute. You can put it underneath your tongue, and it could take up to 30 seconds to a minute for you to feel something, or to see something happening. But when you put cayenne pepper in your mouth, your body instantly turns red. You start sweating on your forehead. Like there is not like 30 seconds, minute, 2 minutes. Your body does something instantly. That is an energetic. And then you can take something like marshmallow root powdered or slippery elm and put that in your mouth, and it stops it, like immediately, because of your body's reaction. And so energetically, herbs do have something, and a lot of people feel drawn to stuff. I mean, like he was saying, like rose hips are awesome to take. It has a lot of benefits and everything, but for one person it could mean something, and for another person it could mean something else. And a lot of this has to do with energy, meditating with herbs, affirmations that we have in our blends. This all pulls you into a moment of connecting to these subtle energies.
A lot of people, you know, when you're working with energies, a lot of people work with crystals. I love crystals. I always work with stones. I believe that they're tools given by nature for us to use. We put them in our aura, they vibrate. They work with our own vibrations to amplify the good. It's the same thing with herbs.
Everything exists at a vibration, a specific vibration. Constituents and everything. Citrus essential oil is going to have a higher vibration than something like vetiver essential oil. It's just the way it is. And so with crystals too, it affects us when we put it in our aura. Even just putting it in our aura, it can have, if you believe in that kind of thing. I feel like belief is, you can almost like take away something's power by saying, I just don't believe in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know? Everything does start with intention. If you're if I'm gonna come to you and then I'm gonna buy this tea from you and I'm gonna take it home and I'm gonna be like, well, this isn't gonna do shit. Like, that's the opposite of blessing the tea, right?
Exactly.
You've basically, your mind is actually so powerful. The placebo effect is absolutely real, which just shows truly how powerful our minds are and how they can either work against us or they can work for us. So a lot of the things that I found along my journey is I really have to take the time to integrate away from the cognitive dissonance that I've gotten from the way I was programmed and what I thought I was supposed to believe and the way that you actually had to heal. And there are some things that I come across that I will get instantly. I'm like, yes, I believe that. You freaking got me. Intention and belief. And then there's other things where I'm like, okay, I want to believe. Like consciously, like I'm here, I'm not pushing it away, but I do feel something maybe more in my subconscious programming that's still wanting to push that out. So I'm a big notebook person. I'll write it down, I'll timestamp it, and I'll date it. And I'm like, I'm going to do more research and I'm going to figure out why it's actually taking this longer to integrate than the other previous thing did.
And this is so real that when I went into with medications, going back to working at the hospital, the people selling the medications, the doctors that would sell like, I don't know, Biktarvy or this medication or that medication, I would go and hear them talk. And even those companies would say, before you have your patients take the medications, have them sit there in front of the mirror and tell them, this will do good for me. The companies, the big companies knew of intent with the body and like psychological programming to help to open that pathway to making that medication be optimal. So they knew that. And that I was trained to have people do that as part of from the entities that make the medicines in allopathic healthcare, not herbalism. So I think it's real.
I mean, it's just power. I truly believe, yes, intention with everything, no matter what you do, no matter what you believe, truly, truly powerful. Yeah. You guys have some blends that, and again, we're not giving any recipes away. You have to go to the website, add them on Facebook, keep up with all their knowledge. But we are going to run through some of the products that they do sell here if you would like to add it to your collection in your cabinets. And you can also find these on TikTok for a better visual as well.
Well, we have our fire cider, which is a favorite, especially this time of the year. It's the colder season. And this is the one that we love to support local farms with as much as possible, along with the elderberry tonic, which we'll touch on in a second. But fire cider is, if you haven't heard of that before, it is an apple cider vinegar extract with fruits, roots, herbs, and honey. And it tastes a lot better than it sounds and smells. People are always surprised with it. You would do this as a preventative, tablespoon in the morning, add it to finishing in your soups, take it when you're sick as like a teaspoon every hour kind of deal to boost the immune system. Elderberry tonic too. These two, we love to support local farms. We buy onions and peppers and garlic and just as much as we can find to put in there from farms. Elderberry tonic is another one that you use a lot, like the fire cider. That would be fire cider would be more of a hot way to get your prevention, boosting and stimulating. Elderberry tonic is going to be more mineralizing and helping you boost it through stimulating the immune system, immunomodulating. And then we have our chai spice, which is really good during this time. We do make a masala chai. The difference between the two of them is masala chai has your Assam tea inside of it, which is called technically in some circles like a dirty chai, because normally you would just have your chai spices to make your chai. But without the caffeine, we do have our chai spice. Excellent to make, put it in your coffee, so use it as spice. Is super, also really good for the liver, full of melanin, and people love that. We have our mushroom blend, which is an amazing favorite ever since what was that movie that came out, Fantastic Fungi?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, everybody is now really starting to
I love
understand.
that movie came out on Netflix because it just gave so many Americans now. There's no reason why people can't understand, that.
This is a free plug, by the way.
Yes.
But yeah, but seriously, ever since that, people have been like slightly educated with it, Hollywoodized information, but still there.
It
so
pulls the
stuff.
psychedelics out of it, and it really brings in the science of the health, and
of non-psychedelic mushrooms. Yeah, chaga. It has chaga, agarikon, blazai, turkey tail, lion's mane, cordyceps, and reishi inside of it. 7 mushroom blend, and that will be available in January. We're bringing that back full. And then we have our Zinger blend, one of our newer ones. This is an excellent tonifying. Not stimulating, saying that wrong. It gives you a very clean energy without stimulating or increasing your heart rate. And extremely tonifying. It's got your schisandra berry, cinnamon, and eleuthero root, which is really simple. It sounds super easy, but the process is a little bit more. You decoct it, because this is roots and berries. So you actually boil it for about 20 minutes on a low simmer, and then you let it sit for 10, and after about 30 minutes you get this extremely mineral-rich, very good for you tonifying concoction, and techniques for people to learn too. I like teaching a technique here and a technique there and a technique there that we use in herbalism to optimally extract constituents out of herbs.
Yeah.
That way I'm not bombarding people with information, like you're not taking a course. You don't have to, no tests involved or anything like that. You just follow some instructions. It might seem a little more time consuming than a 15-minute steep, but you learn and everything. So
and people love that when they hear about decoction, that there's a couple extra steps that you need to take to actually really get all the plant constituents out, to get the real medicine out.
Yep. Yeah, and those are the conversations that we always have at the farmers market. I'm sure we've talked about those things. I love telling people the optimum way of using their herbs and how to handle things. And you can buy remedy, and it says a 15-minute steep, but you can long infuse it too and get more out of it. And they're all tools.
Yeah, the knowledge that goes along with each individual product, it just magnetizes the product even more to me.
Yeah.
Like, it makes it more desirable to me, because I know when I was beginning, I would be like, oh my gosh, okay, not your products in general, but just, I think I was maybe an Apothecary in Oklahoma, and I mean, the packaging alone, like, it totally sold itself to me, but the staff wasn't really like as knowledgeable, I guess, but like, they were just there to sell the product. They weren't there to like optimize your health along the way. So like, I would go home, I would feel like a little insecure about it. Maybe I would do it right, maybe I would do it wrong, but the confidence that you give people when they leave with your products is probably the best. And like, you're always like, I've been shopping in your store and you've been like, hey, seriously, if you have any questions, like, call us. We got
I get
you.
text
like,
messages all the time and they're like, you gave me these instructions, how is it, what did you say? And I'll text them the instructions outside of, normal business hours or whatever, just because, if you're taking my stuff home, it's important that you can use it. I am not one that, I wish that I had a system put in place where I could give it to you for free. You could see if it worked and then you can come pay me when you were done. I wish I could do that.
I totally understand.
We cannot do that, unfortunately, folks. I apologize, but that is my dream. I do give a lot out with purchases and stuff like that. Like, I'll give some Mullein with my lung tonic if somebody's having extra respiratory issues, or nettle all the time. Lady, I'm just like, you need to do nettle. You need to do nettle. Ladies come in, I'm like, nettle, raspberry leaf, or nettle. One of the two. It's just like, you need to get on this and just start now. And it's just important.
Love that.
Like, the connection with herbs needs to be easy. People have we overcomplicate things because we were never educated. We do not have a system so that you can feel confident in making a decision with herbs. And as a matter of fact, they've told you that herbs can kill you. Herbs can give you cancer. If you do too much of this, you're going to ruin your liver. You're going to ruin your kidneys. Oh my gosh! Like, all of the, you're going to, like, if you do it wrong.
All these fear-mongering tactics.
All of these little seeds that were planted since you were a child of. You can't make a decision for yourself, for your health, because you are not educated enough. Period. And so that takes away all of your confidence.
We also too, like, we never throw a bunch of herbs or different products at somebody all at once. Maybe sometimes two. Specifically, if we know what it is, we might do 3, pain cream, headache, roll-in, specifically for one thing that we know works from proven testimonials and scientific fact. But we always try to tell people, start out with this herb, start out with this one thing, and try that for a couple weeks. Journal it. Pay attention to how you feel. If you see results, then experiment with something else. Make sure first lay the foundation of finding the right thing that works first, rather than.
And again, the subtle energy changes, the subtle changes. I think people are so used to taking a pill and having such a, oh wow, okay, that works. Like, it's a A to Z really quick, and then.
And they don't have to pay attention. It just works.
Yes, it just works. They don't have to understand the mechanism behind it, anything. With this, I mean, you're absolutely right. Journal, notice the subtle differences. Notice that if you take this, but then you take something that kind of works against it, that, okay, I need to make the conscious decision to, and I'm thinking more of, like, for me, I'll use myself as a guinea pig. I still like a little bit of processed foods in my diet. I just call it my human experience, right? But I also know that these are the things that optimize my health and add to my vitality. And I'm having like one of those like crazy awesome high vibe days, and then I'm like, I'm gonna go get some like chicken strips and fries, and I'm just gonna go eat this shit, right? And you're like, vroom. You're immediately pulled back down. And for me, like, I know that's my vibration coming down. And whether it's from like a grounded state, I think it's more of a suppressive state that I feel now. So I'm far enough along in my journey, like, I'll try new things and I'm like, this adds to my vitality, this does not. And it's kind of, it goes back and forth. But again, it's all part of the human experience too. And I still want a couple of those worldly things in there, but it's really nice to notice the difference. So, hey, I have a really big day tomorrow, so probably not going to order a bunch of pizza and eat ice cream and then, wake up and think I'm really going to get my day going tomorrow. There's ways that you can really set yourself up for success, whether you like to have that hybrid lifestyle or you are just full blown, I only eat clean, I only eat this, I only take this, I only take this. My goal is to be that awesome 80-year-old vegan looking woman that they're like, there's no way you're 80. That's truly my goal. But right now I'm still having fun navigating and seeing what's working for me and what doesn't. And I think knowing you guys has shaved like years off of my life, just with the knowledge that I get and the knowledge that I know I'm not ready for, but I know it's there and it's available, and I get to come to you and be like, okay, so I was looking at this, like, let's soundboard really quick. What would you guys recommend for this?
Well, and people come in and they think we are trained more is better. If I take 2 ibuprofen, it's good, but if I take 4 ibuprofen, then that's even better for my headache because that's 800 milligrams, and that's what they give me. And when I go to the hospital, so I'm going to take 1,000 because I could take those 800 2 times a day, and it's really going to, right? So seriously, and so those, yes, you take more and you get more out of it. Yes, that is true.
But you should probably counteract it with beets.
But your kidneys are going to suffer.
Yes.
Your muscles are going to suffer. There's like your digestive tract. So many things that happen. The side effects with herbs. More is not better. People will come in here and they'll be like, I want this and I want this and I want this and I want this and I want this, and they're like, this is what's wrong with me. I'm like, whoa. You should pick 2 of those things, see how it works for 2 weeks, come back, and if you need more, I'll happily sell the rest of these to you. But right now, I don't think this is a good. I don't want to sell people more. I want to sell it optimally. It's not the way. I worked at Sprouts in San Diego, and I was with Jeff at that point in time. And as an herbalist, they hired me because I was an herbalist, and they put me in their vitamins section. And oh man, I had to sell things to people. I quit because somebody would come in and they say, I want this is what's wrong with me. And they're buying this thing that they bought from them forever, and it isn't doing anything, and they keep coming back for it, but yet it's the wrong thing. So I'd say, no, you don't want that, you want this over here, and it's cheaper. And I would get in trouble because the customer is right. What they're telling me is that don't care about their decision. If they want the more expensive thing, have them buy it. They'll come back again because it's not working, and they'll buy it again. I mean, they didn't say that last part.
Well, yeah, but obviously that's the goal, is just to sell a product, not necessarily educate on what the product's doing for you.
Oh man, and I got in so much trouble. I quit because morally, I was just like,
takes liability.
This is not me.
Yeah, it's definitely like on a soul level, it doesn't register correctly.
Nope.
And I think there are people in those roles that struggle with that.
Yeah.
And there are people that left the roles, and, it's all a part of our journey, right?
And I made the decision not to. Some people would stick in it, and maybe they would try and be that advocate that in moments they'll take the hit from the management and go ahead and give the customers, give them the education and help them direct it, and then take the hit from the management because they didn't sell as much, I couldn't do that.
No, I think it's great. It shows a lot of character, and it definitely shows a lot of passion that you have for Mother Earth and portraying her properly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pretend that I know nothing about herbalism, but I'm getting that calling, right? I want to take my power back. I walked into your shop. I saw you online on an advertisement. Like, what advice do you have for people that are not even... like, they're just thinking, like, where would they begin in opening their minds up to this, in your opinion?
Teas are a great way to start because people think they have their problems and they overthink their problems. And you really want to hit it hard, especially at the beginning with herbalism, because that more is better kind of mentality. And so I always say, like, if you have some digestive issues going on and you want to dabble in herbs, find some digestive herbs. Read it online. Yes, you're looking online for something, and it's not an education. It's not as much about the education as the experience. Just do. You'll hear a lot of people say, you have to get the education. If you're not taking schooling, then it's not real.
You need the certification.
You need these certifications and everything. At the beginning, you could do all the book smarts you want, but if you're not doing the experience, you're not getting the true education. You're actually applying the herbs. So I always say, start with teas, and just start dabbling in things with yourself. Don't do other people until you're comfortable that you've taken care of a couple things in yourself. And then, outside of there, just branch out. You're going to start online, probably. You're going to research some herbs. You're going to buy a book, and then just make and make and make. I went in deep really quickly because I had a medical background. I worked in a hospital. I understood body systems. I knew... And then I had herbal. The herbs were just a part of my life since that young age of that. And so for me, it was easy applying body systems and medical issues into herbs and their constituents. It's just such an easy bridge. But for some folks that might not body systems. Take some classes and courses on healthcare and understand body systems. It doesn't even have to be based around herbs. Just understand how things work. And then you're going to be able to apply those constituents into, because learning the constituents of each thing and then trying to figure out which body system it works into and then trying to figure out the body system afterwards is not exactly an optimal way. You're going to get a little confused. It's going to take a little longer. It's a way, but it's a hard way. I definitely watch videos online about liver function and gallbladder connection. Watch about digestive. How many tracts of digestion do you have? What happens through each one of those? How does it assimilate food and get it into the bloodstream? Where does the nutrient go? Does nutrient go into the blood, or does it go into a substance that is other than the blood? Lots of different things to figure out. And
makes you realize the more you know, the more you don't know.
My God,
it's more exciting to learn because you're actually learning things that you're interested in.
Yes. And I mean, I feel like learning the body first is what's important. That's what I did. Well, I learned about herbs young, culinary. I got a culinary degree. Then I went into the body systems and everything like that. But it made herbs so much easier. It really did. So you learn the body. Learn yourself. If you are of the female gender, get into your PMS cycles. Understand what progesterone is and estrogen, and what are these herbs that increase and decrease that. And do you need more? Is your cycle running long? Is it running short? Is it running hard? Is it running heavy?
All of these things, they're just going to add to your vitality. And I mean, your overall mental health at the end of the day. We didn't even get into like serotonin levels and gut health, but
oh my gosh, sleep.
We were just talking about how a lot of the things we talked about could be episodes on their own, just because there's so much information to pull apart in all of these things.
I truly wish that I could have been, not to be gender, but I being able to practice with myself, I wish I was a woman. Because there would have been so much to dabble into. Oh my God, like so many things. As a guy, I don't have as much to take care of until I get older, and prostate things and, a couple things like that. But man, it was good, the women's health course, but I love the body. The human body is important.
I will go ahead and promote one of 3 of my friends. They're Kylie, Jenna, and Gina. They actually just rolled out a subscription program where if you are having trouble with any part of your feminine body and wanting to learn more on tracking your moon cycles and understanding it, it's called Serial Healers. I will tag them in the post below. And they have an amazing subscription that I plan on getting on 2023 to really educate myself on more parts of my body that I definitely think that will just add to my overall vitality. So if you're needing someone to understand, maybe why you're overly hormonal, what minerals, vitamins, flows, like so many things, I'll tag them down below. Feel free to reach out to them. She's got a great TikTok channel where she's just giving that wonderful information away. But there's so much to learn from those 3 women, and to be able to have that subscription from them, it's just power in your pocket is what I think. And it's a really safe space to go to and be like, hey, again, as a woman, this is what I'm struggling with. Who do I go to and who do I talk to? So definitely go check out my friends. And thank you guys for coming on today and really just sharing your stories, sharing everything that you possibly can with us on this episode.
Absolutely.
I would love to have you guys back. I can't wait for the next ICT Big Game Market. Again, you'll find all the links below from all of our friends. For everyone that is in the United States, there is a website that you can order all of these products. They are always there for any questions you may have. And to all of our international listeners, I'm so sorry. If you have a family member in the United States that's planning on coming to visit you, have them order it for you and fly it over for you.
We're working on it. We're a small business. International shipping is a bit much for us right now.
Absolutely. But, for me too. I can only ship inside the United States, so I completely understand. But we love everybody. We just want to get that knowledge out there and definitely take your power back. And again, guys, I love you. Thank you so much for everything you do for me and everybody else.
Thank you.
And before we get off here, Vitality Exposed is going to bring us a track from Unlike Pluto's album, Messy Mind. It's called Starlight. Stick around for the next episode. I love you guys so much.
Taking all the starlight from me now, turning over starlight into darkness. Stolen from me now, turning over starlight into darkness.
This is the Hoosier Media Network, your home for podcasting.